Lisa Morgan stood at the observation window of Horizon's Edge space station, watching the stars. After 15 years in space service, not much surprised her anymore. The isolation of deep space suited her. Out here, at the edge of the solar system, things were predictable until they weren't. Commander Morgan to the command center, urgent. The voice over the intercom was calm but tense. Lisa sighed and tapped her communicator. On my way. When she arrived at the command center, the usual quiet efficiency had been replaced by controlled chaos. Screens flashed with warnings. People spoke in hushed, urgent tones. Report, Lisa said. Dr. Alan Wright, the station's lead language expert, pointed to the main screen. It appeared 20 minutes ago, no warning. Nothing on our sensors until it was right there. Lisa stared at the screen. A ship hovered near the station. It looked nothing like any human vessel. It was shaped like a giant jellyfish with a translucent dome and what looked like glowing tentacles trailing behind it. Have they made contact? Lisa asked. Not exactly, Alan said. But they're broadcasting something. Mathematical sequences. Prime numbers, then what we think are atomic structures. Universal language basics. They want to talk, Lisa said. Yes, and I think we should answer. 6 hours later, Lisa sat across from the first confirmed extraterrestrial visitors to the solar system. The meeting room had been specially prepared. The station's environmental controls had been adjusted based on data the aliens had sent over. The aliens called themselves the Confluence. The two representatives present were named Zephyr 9 and Nexari. They looked like tall, slender humanoids with bluish-gray skin that seemed to shimmer slightly in the light. Their eyes were large and completely black with no visible pupils. Where a human would have a nose, they had small breathing slits. Their fingers were longer than human fingers, with an extra joint. Dr. Alan Wright had worked out a basic translation system using the mathematical references the aliens had provided. It wasn't perfect, but it worked well enough for simple communication. We are pleased to establish formal relations with your species, Zephyr 9 said through the translator. Its voice sounded like several people talking at once with a musical quality. We are happy to welcome you to our solar system, Lisa replied formally. We have many questions. As do we, said Nixari. We have observed your world for some time, but distant observation has limits. Lisa tried not to show her surprise. They had been watching Earth. Our alliance includes 12 species, Zephyr 9 continued. We have traveled the stars for thousands of your years, yet we have never encountered a species quite like yours. Lisa wasn't sure if that was a compliment. She reached for her coffee mug and took a sip of the scalding hot liquid. Both aliens jerked back suddenly, their movements synchronizing perfectly. Their skin changed color slightly, becoming more purple than blue. Is something wrong? Lisa asked, setting down her mug. The aliens exchanged looks. Their facial expressions were hard to read, but even Lisa could tell they were alarmed. You consumed this substance voluntarily? Zephyr 9 asked, pointing at the coffee mug. Yes, it's coffee. It's a common drink on Earth. Alan leaned forward. Is there a problem with coffee? Nixari made a sound that the translator didn't catch. This substance contains caffeine, correct? Yes, Lisa said slowly. Most humans consume it daily. The alien's skin shifted color again, this time to a deeper purple. Zephyr 9 spoke rapidly to Nexari in their own language, then turned back to the humans. Caffeine is classified as a dangerous neurotoxin in confluent space. It causes neural disruption and heightened aggression in most species. Lisa looked at her coffee mug, then back at the aliens. For humans, it just helps us stay alert. Some find the taste pleasant. You deliberately consume a neurotoxin for pleasure? Nixari asked, the translator struggling to convey the concept. Well, when you put it that way, Lisa said with a small smile. The aliens conferred again in their language. The translator caught fragments. Adaptation, neural anomaly, and something that translated as concerning behavioral pattern. Alan tried to steer the conversation back to safer ground. We're eager to learn about your 12-species alliance. How do such different beings work together? Zephyr 9 seemed to recover its composure. The confluence formed over thousands of years. We are united by shared values and biological compatibility. All member species show similar psychological patterns and environmental preferences. And what brought you to our solar system specifically? Lisa asked. Curiosity, Nixari said. Your broadcast signals reached our monitoring stations. Your species is unusual. Unusual how? Alan asked. The aliens looked at each other again. Your behavioral patterns do not match predictive models for evolving intelligent species, Zephyr 9 said carefully. Lisa wasn't sure she liked the sound of that. Before she could ask for clarification, the meeting room door opened and Jack Reeves, the station's security officer, entered. He looked flushed and was breathing hard. Sorry I'm late, Commander. The gym equipment malfunctioned during my workout. Had to fix it before someone got hurt. The alien stared at Jack, then at the sweat on his face and arms. You were deliberately exerting yourself to the point of fluid loss? Nixari asked, sounding genuinely confused. Just a regular workout, Jack said with a shrug. Gotta stay in shape up here in 0G. The alien's skin rippled in what Lisa was beginning to recognize as their version of alarm. You intentionally stress your physical form to near damage for maintenance purposes? Zephyr 9 asked. That's one way to put it, Jack said, taking a seat. Lisa watched the aliens carefully. Something was happening here that she didn't fully understand, but her instincts told her it was important. If I may suggest, Zephyr 9 said after a moment, our science team would be very interested in conducting observational studies of human behavior. With your permission, of course. What kind of studies? Lisa asked. Non-invasive behavioral observation, Nixari said quickly. We are particularly interested in your species' psychological patterns and decision-making processes. Alan leaned toward Lisa and whispered, This could be a great opportunity to learn from them while they study us. Lisa nodded slowly. I'll need to consult with Earth authorities, but speaking personally, I don't see why not. As the meeting concluded and arrangements were made for future communications, Lisa couldn't shake the feeling that their visitors were troubled by something they weren't fully expressing. Later, on their ship, Zephyr 9 and Nixari prepared their initial report. Voluntary consumption of neurotoxins, deliberate physical stress, alarming comfort with environmental extremes, Nixari listed. Their psychological evaluation results are concerning, Zephyr 9 added. No species in the confluence would register such patterns. What classification do we give them? Nixari asked. Zephyr 9 paused before answering. Category 2 observation status, with notes for potential Category 3 reclassification pending further data. That high. Only predatory species receive Category 3. They're not predatory in the traditional sense, Zephyr 9 said, but their behavioral patterns suggest a form of controlled insanity that could be equally unpredictable. Nixari processed this, and yet they've built impressive technology and haven't destroyed themselves, which makes them all the more fascinating, Zephyr 9 said, and potentially all the more dangerous. As the alien ship transmitted its findings back to the confluence, on the station, Lisa Morgan sipped her coffee and wondered what their visitors really thought of humans. 3 months had passed since the aliens' arrival. The initial shock had given way to a cautious working relationship. Earth governments had agreed to a cultural exchange program, and now a small human delegation was preparing to board the alien vessel. Dr. Olivia Green checked her equipment bag one last time. As a cultural anthropologist, this was the opportunity of a lifetime. She still couldn't believe she had been selected. Nervous? Asked Kyle Davidson, standing beside her in the airlock chamber. The young engineer had a friendly smile and restless energy. Terrified, Olivia admitted, but in a good way. Ambassador Gregory Simmons joined them, his diplomatic uniform crisp and formal. Remember, we're representing all of humanity. Let's try not to give them any more reasons to think we're crazy. The airlock door opened with a soft hiss, revealing a corridor unlike anything Olivia had ever seen. The walls seemed alive, pulsing, with soft blue light. The air smelled like ocean and something else she couldn't identify. Zephyr 9 waited for them. "Welcome to the Harmony," it said, using the translation device now worn by both species. "Please follow safety protocols. Some areas of our vessel contain environments not suitable for human biology." The humans followed Zephyr 9 through corridors that seemed to shift and change as they walked. Olivia realized with a start that the ship was partially organic, responding to the presence of its inhabitants. "This is amazing," Kyle whispered. "The engineering principles must be living technology," Zephyr 9 explained. "The Harmony grows and adapts. It is both vessel and companion." They arrived at a large chamber that had been adapted for human comfort. The gravity felt Earth normal, and the temperature was pleasant. Another alien waited for them there. "This is Meridius 7, our cultural exchange specialist," Zephyr 9 said. Meridius 7 was slightly shorter than Zephyr 9, with skin that leaned more toward green than blue. "I am pleased to meet you," it said, performing a gesture that involved crossing its long fingers over its chest. The humans introduced themselves and settled into the strange but comfortable furniture that seemed to mold itself to their bodies. "We have prepared some questions," Meridius 7 began, "about human social structures and daily activities." What followed was a session that felt like a mix between an interview and a friendly chat. The aliens asked about human families, work, and social relationships. Everything went smoothly until Meridius 7 asked about leisure activities. "What do humans do when not working or sleeping?" it asked. "All sorts of things," Ambassador Simmons said. "Reading, sports, watching entertainment." "Entertainment?" Zephyr 9 asked. "This term does not translate precisely." Kyle perked up. "You know, things we do for fun, for pleasure." The aliens looked at each other, and what the humans had learned was confusion. "Activities with no practical purpose?" Meridius 7 asked carefully. "Exactly," Kyle said. He reached into his bag and pulled out a small device. "I brought some videos to show you. This is me and my friends last summer." He projected a video showing himself and several others jumping from a high cliff into a lake below, whooping and laughing as they fell. The alien's skin rippled with color. "You deliberately fell from a dangerous height?" Zephyr 9 asked, sounding alarmed. "It's called cliff diving," Kyle explained. "It's fun because it gives you an adrenaline rush. You seek chemical responses associated with fear, for enjoyment?" Meridius 7 asked. "Kind of, yeah," Kyle said, suddenly less enthusiastic. Olivia tried to help. "Humans often enjoy controlled risk. It helps us feel alive." The aliens conferred quietly in their own language. "Let me show you something else," Kyle offered, switching the video. "This is a roller coaster." The video showed a high-speed ride with people screaming as they plummeted down steep drops. "They are in distress," Zephyr 9 observed, concerned. "No, they're having fun," Kyle insisted. "Those are happy screams." "Happy screams," Meridius 7 repeated slowly, as if the translator must be malfunctioning. Ambassador Simmons cleared his throat. "Perhaps we should move on to another topic." Olivia nodded in agreement. "What about art? Do the confluent species create art?" "We create functional objects of aesthetic value," Meridius 7 said. "But I believe human art differs in purpose." "Well, art can have many purposes," Olivia explained. "Sometimes it's just about expressing emotions or ideas." "Without practical application?" Zephyr 9 asked. "Often yes," Olivia said. The aliens seemed troubled by this concept. Olivia tried another approach. "Do you have music?" she asked. "We have harmonic patterns used for communication and spatial mapping," Meridius 7 said. Olivia took out her own device. "Maybe I could share some human music?" She played a classical piece with a strong rhythm. The aliens listened intently, their skin shifting through various colors. "The repeating pattern seems unnecessary for information transmission," Zephyr 9 observed when the music ended. "That's the rhythm," Olivia explained. It makes the music feel good to listen to. Feel good? Meridia 7 repeated. It creates a pleasant emotional response, Ambassador Simmons tried to explain. This led to a long discussion about human emotions that left the aliens looking more confused than ever. Later, the humans were shown to quarters prepared for them. As they settled in, a new alien arrived, Talax, the Confluence's chief xenobiologist. I have questions about human biological functions, Talax announced without preamble. What would you like to know? Olivia asked politely. You enter a state called sleep? Talax asked. Yes, humans need to sleep about 8 hours per day, Ambassador Simmons explained. And during this state, you are unconscious but not dead? Talax pressed. That's right, Kyle said. And we dream during sleep. Dream? Talax's skin flickered with rapid color changes. It's like seeing things that aren't real while we're asleep, Kyle explained. Stories our brains tell us. The alien was silent for a long moment. You experience hallucinations regularly as part of your normal biological cycle? The humans exchanged glances. I wouldn't call them hallucinations exactly, Olivia said carefully. Internal sensory experiences not connected to external reality, Talax insisted. Hallucinations. When you put it that way, Kyle mumbled. Talax seemed to be taking careful notes. And you find this normal? Not concerning? It's completely normal for humans, Ambassador Simmons assured the alien. Without sleep and dreams, we become unwell. Talax made a sound the translator didn't catch. Fascinating. Your species requires temporary death and hallucinations to maintain mental health. After Talax left, the humans gathered in Ambassador Simmons' room. I think we're making them nervous, Kyle said. They're trying to understand us through their own framework, Olivia explained. Human behavior probably seems irrational to them. We need to be careful, Ambassador Simmons warned. They're cataloging everything about us. On the other side of the ship, the aliens were indeed comparing notes. Their entertainment activities involve deliberate risk, Zephyr 9 reported. They create complex patterns with no practical purpose, Meridia 7 added. They require regular periods of unconsciousness during which they hallucinate, Talax said. A new alien joined them, Vexel, the ship's security officer. Initial psychological models suggest humans are dangerously unstable, it said, yet they've built an advanced civilization. Perhaps their instability is a form of adaptation, Meridia 7 suggested. Or perhaps, Zephyr 9 said quietly, they are something our models cannot predict, a truly novel form of intelligence. Should we classify them as dangerous? Vexel asked. Not yet, Zephyr 9 decided. But we should send a full report to the Confluence. Humans may be fascinatingly unstable, but they deserve careful study before any classifications are made. The alien ship continued its orbit around Earth. Both species watched each other with growing curiosity and concern, each wondering what strange revelations the coming days would bring. 6 months after first contact, a team of alien researchers had settled into a temporary base at the United Nations headquarters in New York. The initial panic about alien visitors had calmed into a cautious curiosity. News outlets still covered every alien sighting, but humans were slowly getting used to the idea that they were not alone in the universe. Dr. Eric Martinez adjusted his tie as he prepared for another day as the UN liaison to the alien research team. At 42, Eric had never imagined his psychology degree would lead to explaining human behavior to extraterrestrials. Another day of convincing aliens we're not completely crazy, he muttered to himself. The alien research team was led by Quandrax 12, a tall, slender being with the shifting blue-gray skin typical of the confluent species. Today, Quandrax 12 was waiting for Eric in the specially designed conference room. Good morning, Dr. Martinez, the alien said through its translator device. We have completed our initial assessment of human entertainment media. Eric winced, inwardly. The research team had requested access to television, movies, books, and games to better understand human culture. He had tried to provide a balanced selection, but he knew how strange human entertainment might seem to aliens. What did you think? Eric asked carefully. We are concerned, Quandrax 12 said. Its skin rippled with dark purple patterns. A significant percentage of your entertainment involves imaginary scenarios of conflict, danger, or destruction. Fiction is an important part of human culture, Eric explained. It helps us explore ideas and feelings in a safe way. You deliberately expose yourselves to simulated scenarios that would cause distress if real, Quandrax 12 said. This matches patterns we have observed in other human behaviors. Eric sighed. Such as? Yesterday we observed humans in a facility called a gym. They lifted heavy objects repeatedly until their muscles failed. When asked why, they said it was for health. Exercise is good for our bodies, Eric said. Deliberate muscle damage to provoke repair response, Quandrax 12 said. Efficient but disturbing. The door opened and Sophia Williams entered. As the media specialist for alien relations, she had spent weeks helping the aliens understand human news and social media. Sorry I'm late, she said. Traffic was terrible. Is everything okay? Eric asked, noting her flushed face. Just rushed. I brought coffee for everyone. She set down a tray with 3 cups. Quandrax 12's skin flashed warning colors. The aliens had become somewhat accustomed to humans drinking coffee, but they still found it alarming. I brought you tea, Sophia said to Quandrax 12. No caffeine. The alien relaxed slightly and accepted the cup. Thank you for your consideration. Agent Frank Rogers arrived next. As an intelligence officer, he had been assigned to monitor alien activities. Frank was suspicious by nature, a trait that made him good at his job, but sometimes difficult in social situations. The security team approved your request to visit the county fair this weekend, Frank said without greeting. But we'll need a detailed plan and extra security personnel. A fair? Quandrax 12 asked, the translator struggling with the concept. It's a community gathering with food, games, and rides, Eric explained. We thought it would help you understand human recreational activities. Quandrax 12's skin shifted to a curious yellow-green. This would be valuable research. 2 days. Later, Eric watched nervously as Quandrax 12 and 2 other aliens, Vexil and a researcher named Lyra 7, observed the county fair with wide, unblinking black eyes. What is the purpose of this activity? Vexil asked, pointing to a spinning ride where people were screaming. It's fun, Eric said. The spinning creates a pleasant sensation. They appear to be in distress, Lyra 7 observed. Those are excitement. Screams, not fear screams, Sophia explained. Humans sometimes enjoy feeling brief, controlled fear. The aliens watched in silence as the ride ended and laughing humans stumbled off, dizzy but happy. Next, can we show them the food stands? Frank suggested. Might as well get all the weird human stuff out at once. The aliens were equally confused by humans eating cotton candy, nutritionally empty sugar strands, competing in eating contests, deliberate overconsumption despite no resource scarcity, and paying money to throw balls at targets for stuffed animal prizes, inefficient resource acquisition. But the haunted house created the biggest stir. Humans pay currency to enter a structure designed to trigger fear responses? Quandrax 12 asked after watching people run screaming from the exit. It's not real fear, Eric tried to explain. It's pretend fear. You enjoy simulating negative emotional states? Vexil asked. Sometimes, yes, Sophia admitted. The aliens conferred quietly in their own language. Eric could tell from their skin colors that they were troubled. Later that evening, after the aliens had returned to their quarters, Frank pulled Eric aside. I've intercepted some of their communications, he said quietly. They've classified humans as a Category 3 unstable species. What does that mean? Eric asked. From what I can tell, it's not good. Most Category 3 species in their records self-destructed before achieving space travel. But we haven't self-destructed, Eric pointed out. That's what's confusing them, Frank said. By their understanding, we should have. They think we're operating on borrowed time. The next morning, Eric found Quandrax 12 studying a collection of human artwork. The alien seemed particularly interested in abstract paintings. These visual patterns do not represent real objects, Quandrax 12 observed. They represent feelings, ideas, or simply aesthetic patterns that the artist found pleasing, Eric explained. Created purely for emotional or sensory response, not function, Quandrax 12 said. That's right. I am beginning to see a pattern in human behavior that our initial assessments missed, the alien said slowly. What's that? Eric asked. Your species has an unusual relationship with what we would call reality. You create artificial realities in your entertainment. You seek emotional experiences that have no survival benefit. You imagine things that do not exist and then create them. Eric wasn't sure if this was a compliment or a criticism. I suppose we do. My superiors have ordered a full psychiatric evaluation of your species, Quandrax 12 continued. They are concerned that humans might be too unstable for safe integration into the galactic community. That seems harsh, Eric said, trying to hide his worry. Perhaps, Quandrax 12 said. Its skin shifted to a color Eric hadn't seen before, a deep, rich blue with flecks of gold. But I have developed a different hypothesis. Oh? What my people call instability may be something else entirely, something we have not encountered before. Before Eric could ask more, Vexel entered the room. The Confluence Council has reviewed our reports, Vexel announced. They have requested human representatives visit the Confluence headquarters for formal evaluation. Is that good or bad? Sophia asked, joining them. It is unprecedented, Quandrax 12 said. No species has ever been invited to the council before. Formal stability certification. Why us then? Frank asked suspiciously. Quandrax 12's skin flickered with complex patterns. Because despite everything our science tells us about your species, you continue to survive and progress. You are a mystery the council wishes to solve. As the aliens left to prepare for the council visit, Eric, Sophia, and Frank exchanged worried glances. So the most advanced alien civilization in the galaxy thinks we're crazy, Frank said. Great. Not crazy, Eric corrected. Just different in a way they don't understand. Let's hope different is good, Sophia said quietly. 1 year after first contact, a small delegation of humans traveled to the Galactic Confluence headquarters. The journey took 3 weeks aboard the alien vessel, during which the humans marveled at faster-than-light travel technology that made the stars blur past like streetlights. The human delegation included Captain Heather Powell as military escort, Dr. Peter Collins as the team's psychology expert, and Director Nancy Miller heading the diplomatic mission. Each had been carefully selected for their knowledge, experience, and ability to remain calm under pressure. They would need all of those qualities in the days ahead. The Confluence headquarters was a massive space station orbiting a star that had no planets. It looked like a giant snowflake made of metal and light, with 12 pointed arms extending from a central hub. Each arm represented one of the 12 species that made up the Confluence. It's beautiful, Nancy whispered as their shuttle approached. The station gleamed silver against the blackness of space, with lights flowing along its surface like rivers of gold. Beautiful but intimidating, Heather said. The military captain had faced many dangers in her career, but nothing like this. When the shuttle docked, they were greeted by a delegation that included representatives from several alien species. Most looked nothing like the blue-gray humanoids they had met on Earth. One floated in a tank of green liquid. Another moved on 6 spindly legs like an insect. A third seemed to be made of shifting crystal formations. Quandrax 12 was there too, a familiar face among the strange new ones. Welcome to the Confluence, it said. The council awaits you. The central chamber of the station was enormous, with a circular platform in the middle surrounded by 12 raised sections where representatives from each species sat or floated. The room hummed with quiet energy, and the walls displayed moving images of stars and galaxies. Grand Arbiter Zelnar, the leader of the Galactic Confluence Council, was a tall, willowy being with skin that changed colors like an octopus. Humans, of Earth, it said, its voice deep and echoing. You stand before this council as an unclassified species. This is unprecedented. Nancy stepped forward. We are honored by your invitation and eager to establish peaceful relations with the Confluence. Before such relations can be formalized, Zelnar continued, this council must determine if your species poses a threat to galactic stability. Peter shifted uncomfortably. As a psychologist, he had studied the data from the aliens' research on Earth. He knew exactly what they thought of human behavior. We have reviewed the research conducted by our observers, Zelnar said. The findings are concerning. A series of images appeared on the walls around them. Humans in war games, watching horror movies, riding roller coasters, competing in extreme sports. Your species deliberately seeks out danger and fear, one council member said. It had the appearance of a large plant with glowing blue flowers. You create entertainment based on conflict and tragedy. You attach emotional significance to inanimate objects, said another council member, the one that looked like living crystal. You form social bonds with no genetic basis, added a third, the one floating in the green tank. And perhaps most concerning, Zelnar continued, you are fully aware of your own mortality yet continue to function. Most species find such awareness debilitating. Nancy looked at Peter, silently asking for help. The psychologist cleared his throat. What you call concerning behaviors are actually adaptive strategies, Peter explained. Our creativity, our ability to imagine scenarios that don't exist, allows us to solve problems in unique ways. But this behavior matches patterns we have observed in species that self-destruct, Zelnar said. Yet you have not. Perhaps that's because what you see as instability is actually our strength, Heather suggested. The council seemed unconvinced. The debate continued for hours, with the aliens presenting evidence of human insanity, and the humans trying to explain their behavior in terms the aliens could understand. Then, without warning, alarms began to blare throughout the station. The council chamber's walls flickered, showing a swarm of small ships approaching the station. Vorax vessels detected, announced a voice over the station's communication system. Defensive measures activating. The council erupted in controlled chaos. Zelnar issued rapid commands and most of the council members hurried from the chamber. What's happening? Nancy asked Quandrax 12, who had remained with the humans. The Vorax, Quandrax 12 explained quickly, a hive mind species that consumes resources from stations and ships. They are not part of the confluence and do not communicate with other species. The station shuddered as something impacted against its shields. Your shuttle bay is under attack, one of the remaining council members informed them. You cannot leave until the threat is neutralized. Heather's military training kicked in. What defenses does the station have? Automated systems, Quandrax 12 said. But the Vorax have adapted to our standard defense protocols. Heather looked at the tactical displays showing the attacking ships. Their attack pattern is perfect, too perfect. It's completely predictable. Yes, Quandrax 12 agreed. The Vorax always use optimal attack formations based on mathematical principles. That's their weakness, Heather said. Can I speak to your defense commanders? Minutes later, Heather was in the station's command center, explaining her idea to the alien defense team. If you keep responding with predictable defensive patterns, they'll keep adapting, she said. We need to do something unexpected. Inefficient defense patterns would result in higher damage to the station, the defense commander objected. But they might break through the Vorax formation, Heather insisted. Sometimes the logical move is the wrong move. With reluctance, the aliens agreed to try her strategy. Instead of the station's weapons firing in synchronized patterns, Heather suggested a random, chaotic approach that no algorithm could predict. The results were immediate. The Vorax ships programmed to respond to standard defense patterns faltered in the face of seeming randomness. Meanwhile, Dr. Peter Collins was working with the station's engineers on another problem. The Vorax had disabled the main communication system, preventing the station from calling for help. What if we repurpose the station's external lighting system? Peter suggested. We could use it to send a visual distress signal. The lighting system is not designed for communication, an engineer objected. Exactly, Peter said. The Vorax won't expect it. As Heather's chaotic defense pattern confused the Vorax ships, Peter's improvised communication system successfully contacted a nearby Confluence patrol vessel. In the council chamber, Nancy found herself with an elderly alien named Thremnar, who claimed to be the oldest member of the Confluence. "Your people's quick thinking may save this station," Thremnar said. "Using inefficiency and unpredictability as weapons, fascinating." "Humans are good at thinking outside the box," Nancy said. "Outside the..." "Ah, yes, I understand the metaphor." Thremnar nodded. "There is an ancient legend among my people about a species with minds that work differently. Minds that see patterns where there are none, and break patterns where they exist. We called them the Beautiful Chaos." Before Nancy could ask more about this legend, the chamber doors opened. Grand Arbiter Zelnar returned, flanked by several council members. "The Vorax are retreating," Zelnar announced. "Thanks to the unexpected tactics suggested by your Captain Powell and Dr. Collins." The council members looked at the humans with new eyes, not with fear or concern, but with something that might have been respect. "Perhaps," Zelnar said slowly, "what we have called instability is something else entirely, something we lack." The oldest council member, Thremnar, stepped forward. "I move that humans be reclassified," it said. "Not as Category 3 unstable, but as essential innovators." A murmur ran through the council. Quandrax 12's skin rippled with excited patterns. "The council will deliberate on this matter," Zelnar declared. "But first we owe our human guests gratitude for their assistance today." As the humans were escorted to quarters prepared for them, Nancy turned to Peter and Heather. "Did we just change their minds by being weird?" she asked. "I think," Peter said with a smile, "we just proved that sometimes insanity is exactly what's needed." The Galactic Council's deliberations lasted 3 days. During this time, the human delegation was given guest quarters in the central hub of the station. They were treated well, but remained anxious about the Council's decision. On the morning of the 4th day, Captain Heather Powell stood at the window of her quarters watching the strange stars of an unfamiliar region of space. The attack by the Vorax had been repelled, but the station still showed signs of damage. Repair drones moved across the outer hull like busy insects. "Any word yet?" Dr. Peter Collins asked, joining her at the window. "Nothing," Heather said. "Director, Miller is meeting with Quandrax 12 trying to get some information. Do you think they're still afraid of us?" Peter asked. Heather considered this. "I'm not sure afraid is the right word. Confused, maybe. Uncertain." The door opened and Nancy Miller entered, looking tired but hopeful. "The council is ready to see us," she announced. "Quandrax 12 says they've reached a decision." The 3 humans made their way through the station's curved corridors, accompanied by alien guards whose expressions were impossible to read. The Grand Council chamber looked different today. The 12 sections were now filled with representatives, not just from the council members but from all across the confluence. Grand Arbiter Zelnar stood at the center of the chamber, its skin a formal pattern of blue and gold. "Humans of Earth," Zelnar began when the delegation was in place. "This council has reviewed all available data, including your species' assistance during the recent attack." The humans stood side by side, trying to appear calm despite their anxiety. "For thousands of years," Zelnar continued, "the confluence has classified species based on predictability and stability. Those species who think and act like us have been welcomed. Those who do not have been watched from afar until they either evolved or destroyed themselves." Nancy stepped forward slightly. "And which category do humans fall into?" "Neither," Zelnar said. "Your species defies our classification system entirely." The council chamber filled with a soft sound as hundreds of aliens spoke quietly among themselves. "The traits we initially viewed as dangerous instability," Zelnar explained, "proved to be valuable during crisis. Your unpredictable thinking patterns, your comfort with risk, your ability to make decisions without complete information. These traits saved many lives when the Vorax attacked." Council Elder Thremnar moved forward to stand beside Zelnar. "The Ancient alien leaned on a staff made of some crystalline material. There is an old legend among the founding species of the confluence, Thremnar said, its voice thin but clear. It speaks of a species with beautiful chaos in their minds, who would one day bring new thinking to our ordered systems. For generations, we thought this was merely a story to teach young ones about different ways of thinking. The humans exchanged glances. Was this really happening? This council has decided, Zelnar announced, that humanity will be invited to join the confluence not as a probationary member, but as a full partner species with a new classification. Essential innovators. A murmur ran through the gathered aliens. Essential innovators, Nancy repeated. Your species thinks in ways ours cannot, Quandrax 12 explained, stepping forward. You see possibilities where we see only chaos. This is not insanity as we first believed. It is innovation. Captain Powell couldn't hide her smile. So you don't think we're crazy anymore? Oh, by our standards, you are completely insane, Quandrax 12 said, its skin rippling with what the humans now recognized as amusement. But it seems the galaxy needs a little insanity. The formal ceremony that followed was brief but meaningful. The humans were presented with a crystal sphere that shifted colors in response to touch, the formal symbol of confluence membership. As the ceremony concluded, a small ship arrived at the station. The pilot was Ryan Cooper, a human who had trained to fly the alien shuttle. With him was engineer Julia Hayes, who had been studying confluence technology. We got your message, Ryan said when he met the delegation. Earth is excited about the alliance. How did you get here so fast? Nancy asked. Julia figured out how to boost the shuttle engines, Ryan explained. The aliens said it couldn't be done, but she did it anyway. Julia shrugged. I just ignored what everyone said was impossible. A very human approach, Quandrax 12 commented. In the following days, plans were made for increased cooperation between Earth and the confluence. The human delegation prepared to return home with news of the alliance. Before they left, Grand Arbiter Zelnar requested one final meeting with Nancy. There is something I must confess, Zelnar said when they were alone. Many in the council still fear human unpredictability. That's understandable, Nancy replied. We sometimes fear it ourselves. Yet you embrace it, Zelnar observed. We've learned to. Our history is full of chaos, but also full of incredible achievements born from that same chaos. Zelnar was quiet for a moment. The Vorax will return, they always do. And there are other threats in this galaxy that the confluence has struggled to counter. We hope that human creativity will help us face these challenges. You're saying you need our insanity, Nancy said with a smile. Perhaps we do, Zelnar admitted. The confluence has been stable for thousands of years, but stability can become stagnation without new ideas. When the human delegation finally returned to Earth, they brought with them not just an alliance agreement, but also a request. The confluence wanted human teachers, artists, engineers, and thinkers to visit their worlds and share their unique perspectives. 6 months later, the first official human embassy opened on the confluence homeworld. Ambassador Greg Simmons stood before a gathered crowd of aliens, many of whom had never seen a human before. We bring you gifts, he announced, to celebrate our new friendship. The gifts included human music, art, literature, and, most controversially, spicy food. The younger aliens in particular seemed fascinated by human culture, eagerly trying the strange new experiences despite warnings from their elders. A small alien child approached Dr. Olivia Green, who had returned to continue her cultural studies. Is it true that humans imagine things that aren't real? The child asked. We call it imagination, Olivia explained. It helps us think of new possibilities. Can you teach me? The child asked. I can try, Olivia said. Close your eyes and picture something that doesn't exist. The child's skin rippled with concentration. It's difficult. That's okay. It gets easier with practice. As Olivia guided the young alien through its first attempts at imagination, across the room, Quandrax 12 watched with a mixture of concern and hope. They are changing us, it said to Zelnar. Yes, the Grand Arbiter agreed. And perhaps we are changing them too. Both species will be different because of this alliance. Do you still think humans are insane? Quandrax 12 asked. Zelnar's skin shifted through thoughtful patterns of blue and gold. I think they are exactly what they need to be, and perhaps exactly what we need them to be as well. In the years that followed, human insanity spread through the confluence like a benevolent virus, bringing new ideas, new art forms, and new ways of thinking. And when the next crisis came, the confluence faced it not with perfect order, but with beautiful chaos, and survived.